All right, hey everyone. I wanted to do a quick video. I say everyone, maybe 3 people are watching this, but um, I wanted to do a small video on a RICOH GR3, which I bought about 2 months ago. My experience with it and a problem that's just come up at the worst timing possible. So a little bit of backstory. I've been doing photography for about 6 years, maybe almost going on 7 years now. I started with a Nikon, I think it was a 3400, D3400 as my original camera. And then I moved up to the Sony A7R III, which has been like a night photography champ. But I had that for several years. With cameras comes lenses, so I got my Zeiss Batis 225. I've got my nifty 50 here from Sony. My Sigma, it's the Sigma 35mm. This has been an absolute dream. And then I moved on to my XH2S. Back in May of last year, I went to Japan, which I usually go to twice a year. I don't find it too interesting to do photography in Vancouver, but I bought this back in May of last year, my XH2S, and I love it. It's a crop sensor, lower megapixel, smaller. It's lighter than my Sony, and the film simulations, of course, everyone loves those, and it's no different for this one. But I've got a trip coming up, again, going back to Japan this upcoming May, and I did a pre-order for a Fuji X106. I got on the list. The order or the release happened in, I think, February 28th, and my order was nowhere to be found. It is now April 21st, and still no word on when my X106 is coming. So, Visions Electronics, why do you do a pre-order if you can't fulfill it? Anyway, point is, I'm going there in May. I decided, hey, you know what? I've heard a lot of good things about this RICOH GR3 and GR3X, so I managed to pick one up before the demand picked up after the X106's release debacle with no pre-orders getting filled. I bought this, and man, it's been super fun learning how to use this thing. Only problem is, a month and a half after I buy it, don't know if you can see it, but you turn it on and you get a little, it's not going to show, a lens error. Basically, this is what it looks like. I don't know why. I've used this thing a handful of times. I haven't opened it up. I've maybe gotten 200 photos out of this thing, and I'm already getting a lens error. So I'm disappointed, to say the least. You can't, apparently to get it replaced costs as much as the camera to get the camera lens fixed. I'm leaving in like 21 days. Of course, I'm more than happy to bring this with me, but as you can imagine, the lenses are heavy. You know, when you're traveling around and you're walking all over these cities, and after 6 visits there, I'm basically thinking to myself, my back needs a rest. I'd like something more compact, and I think there's a challenge in creativity when you limit yourself too. I don't need all these lenses. I'd like to just point and shoot from the hip. But now, you know, I spent, what, $1,600 on this thing, and 2 months later it breaks down. So, not super stoked on RICOH. I love the little camera, but what am I supposed to do? You know, it's going to cost the same to repair it as it is to buy a new one, and I don't really feel like getting burned a second time. So I haven't seen an awful lot of videos on RICOH GR3 breaking down like this. But when I go further into forums, which maybe I should have done beforehand, but in 2024, you don't expect cameras to have such a stupid, simple issue. So I can't recommend it. I can't recommend this camera. I've been burned. I don't want to get burned again. So just keep an eye out, do your research. I gotta say the XH2S is a little bit more expensive than the GR3, but it's a great little camera. At least I'll have that to go with me on my next trip. and who knows when my X106 will show up. But for now, I can't recommend the RICOH, even though I love the images that come out of it. Thanks, guys.